I have with me Ethan Essner, who's Vice President of the Cape Girardeau Firefighters Association 1084. And Houston, we have a problem.
A little bit.
Yeah. So why are we here today, Ethan?
So Local 1084 has been in contract negotiations for going on 3.5 years with the city.
3.5 years?
3.5 years and no contract signed. So in the most recent meeting that we had back in March, they presented us a one-page document. It's an MOU that essentially allows them the latitude to change anything that they please anywhere in in their city policy or the fire department policy.
Which means you can't negotiate what you would like to
Correct.
have.
So it essentially
they'll just tell you what you're going to have.
Essentially makes our union null and void if we sign their one-page MOU. When we started negotiations, we had a 28-page contract that protected things like minimum staffing, hours of operations, benefits, pay. And if we sign this one-page MOU, guess what? The city can change minimum staffing. They could shut down fire stations. They could do anything that they wanted at the stroke of a pen.
So let me guess, you're not signing it.
We're not signing it.
No, don't blame you.
Yep.
Quite frankly, that's crappy.
Yep.
So how did we get here? What happened?
That's a good question. There's been times where we feel like we're making good headway, and then topics will come up. You know, one of the things that we got stuck on was the retiree health care. The guys that were hired before July 1st of 2010 were hired under the impression that they would have legacy health care, meaning from age 55 to 65, the city would pick up their health insurance. And through this negotiation process, they want to change the verbiage to state that those employees will be required to pay at the rate that they are currently paying their insurance if the city would put any of that cost on the employee.
Is it because the city doesn't have the money for the pension payout for the health insurance? Is it a monetary issue that the city doesn't feel they have the money for it, budget-wise?
So what we have been told is that from being self-insured as a city, they are struggling to keep up with the ongoing cost of, issues that the retirees are having that have already retired, and they're having to pay out on those claims.
Sounds like Illinois.
Yeah, a little bit.
So you're going to hold out, aren't you?
Yep.
Okay.
We're standing fast. We believe as a local that not only are we here to support the firefighters that we represent, but we are here to be an advocate for the community. And if we sign this one-page MOU, we are doing a huge disservice to our community.
Well, let me just say, between fire and police, if there are two entities a city needs more than bureaucrats or anybody else, it's people who save lives.
Yeah.
If my house burns down, somebody from the chiropractic office isn't going to come put my house out for me. I can't just pay him to do that.
Yep.
We pay our taxes so the city can pay you to make sure that my family makes it out alive.
Correct.
Things like this frustrate me. I'm not going to lie and say I understand numbers really well, but it seems to me like neither does somebody else.
And that's kind of through this process, working with the city, there's been numerous occasions that we've requested specific numbers on, different things. One of the
That should be an easy ask.
It should be. And one of the big things that we are struggling with as a department, not necessarily from the union side, but we're supposed to be looking at replacing fire apparatus like now. The NFPA standard states that every 10 years your frontline apparatus should move to reserve status. In 2016, we got new fire trucks, and the Public Safety Trust Fund that was put in place in 2014 was supposed to have money set back each year for the replacement of our apparatus.
Okay.
And we are in a position, and we've been told by finance and city manager that we do not have the funds to replace fire apparatus.
So where'd the funds go?
Good question.
Okay. Are we spending money on things we shouldn't be? I'm just going to toss that out there. I don't know because I'm not in the meetings. I don't know what the budget looks like. I'm not of any knowledge whatsoever, but I think promises made should be promises kept.
100%. And that's the questions that we have, is that it was sold to the citizens that this Public Safety Trust Fund was solely for the replacement of fire apparatus, a portion of it.
Well, we voted on it.
And it was voted on. And we've asked numerous times, our chief has asked numerous times where those funds are, because we are going to need to start moving towards getting new apparatus.
Well, guys are walking away, too.
Every day.
Saw one walk away yesterday.
Yep.
I was like, where's he going?
Yep. It's
Where's he go? Where did he go?
He's taking a different career path. He's going to try something else in life and hope it works out.
Okay, so how many firefighters are we talking about here?
So over the past 3 years, we've lost 12 guys. It's appalling. Yeah.
Some to attrition or just walked away?
Some to attrition, but the majority are just walking away.
Are we fully staffed?
We are just shy of being fully staffed. We just did a hiring process to come up to full staff. However, with that, in recent years, we have reduced our hiring standards to no longer require EMT at the day of hire. You have 1 year from day of hire to get that certification to retain your job. It's great to get it gets butts in the seat, but at the same time, there's a lot of on-the-job training. There's a lot of time and effort put into these guys, and at the end of the day, we have to find a way to retain these individuals that are coming in.
Well, I happen to know when I smashed my leg, and my listeners have heard this story ad nauseum, but it was a horrible ordeal in my life. I'm sure it was a day at work for you all, but that was one of the worst 6 months of my life. And if there hadn't been an EMT on that truck, there would have been no reason for you to come at all. I would have just had to lay there and wait for the ambulance.
Yep. And we have paramedics as well, so there's different levels in our field. There's first responders, EMTs, and paramedics. We also have paramedics. The problem with that is we struggle to lose paramedics to departments up north that are paying their medics what they deserve to be paid. And again, through the contract negotiations, we have asked numerous times for those pay scales to be corrected for the medics, to bring them up to a closer level to where those other departments are at, and to no avail. We've gotten very, very little in that.
In the city's defense, if the money's not there, they can't give it to you.
Correct. But I think it says a lot whenever the city goes for a property tax increase for the purpose of public safety and salaries and benefits, and the voters turned it down because they don't trust the city anymore. And that's the problem. There's no trust, there's no faith in the city from the community, from their employees.
It doesn't even matter if you vote for someone else. If the money's not there, the money's not there.
Yeah.
But I think there are some city council members who better rethink how they vote on how we spend the money.
Yep.
I think it comes down to that more than anything else.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of frustration on where funds are being spent, and I think it's more so from our standpoint a transparency thing. Come out and show it. If people have questions, show it. Be transparent. Tell us where it went. But whenever you when the citizens passed a public safety trust fund to replace apparatus and to pay for buildings, and there's no money there to replace the apparatus after 10 years, that's a huge problem, and that's gonna turn into a detrimental problem for the fire department and the citizens, because if our apparatus aren't in tip-top shape, guess what? We may not be able to make it to your call because they may not be working. Right now we've got 2 ladder trucks, and just happens that both of them went down in the same week, so we were without a ladder truck. We were relying on Jackson across the interstate to come over and provide a ladder truck.
That's embarrassing.
It's currently back when we have one of our reserves is back up and running, but again, situations like that are going to become more and more prevalent as we move forward.
Okay, so I don't have enough time here to dig as deep as I'd like to go, and I would love to have an AIS right here of somebody who could answer the number questions for me, because I don't like to just talk to one entity and say it's them, because they've got a reason for what they're doing.
For sure.
But why a one-page give us all the power letter instead of a negotiation?
I don't know. And that's what's frustrating, too, is through this process, we've been assigned an appointee from Dr. Haskins. He has assigned his HR director as our appointee. However, he is the decision-making authority, and so we will go to meetings, and she says that she has to take stuff back to him, and then he'll bring back stuff to us. And it's just a mess on how they're operating it, and if he would just show up to meetings, we could have been done with this 2 years ago. But he refuses to show up to negotiation meetings, and that's a problem.
He refuses, or he's busy?
Good question. From the last email that we've sent his assistant, and we requested him be present in the negotiations meeting with his HR director to have everybody in the same room, he said that he only wanted to meet with him and not with both of them. So there's a little confusion on why they would be wanting to operate that way. If we can all be in the same room at the same time, why don't we do it? So there's that too. How do we get him in the room? How do we get him to negotiate? I don't know. I don't know that answer. But
well, I can sense frustration. I mean, I can feel it just coming off you.
Yeah.
Like, I can feel it.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I'm not in a union. I get paid what I get paid, and I deal with it.
Yeah.
But we voted for this.
Yep. Yeah, and I want to say, too, I think a common misconception of unions is we want more pay, we want better benefits, we want all these things. Mm-hmm. And yes, at the end of the day, you're right.
Just want your trucks.
That's what pays the bills. That's what supports your family, right? Nobody can deny that.
Yeah.
But our sole purpose is, again, to be an advocate for the community. Mm-hmm. We want to bring it back and make sure that what we're signing is responsible and making sure that the citizens are provided the best service that they can.
And you walk into fires.
Yeah.
And you show up when people are having their worst day.
Correct.
And you're a first responder.
Yep.
That goes right under the military for me. I mean, It's military, first responders, most important people in this country.
Yep.
That's where I put you guys in value.
Yep.
So I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. I've heard your side of the story.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear the other side of the story
Yeah.
if they want to come on and talk about it. But when you say fair contract, are you asking for a huge amount of money?
No, and at this point, we aren't denying that the city has done things over the past 3 years that has better pay, better benefits.
Okay.
And that's not our argument.
So they're not just...
Yeah, but when they presented us this one-page MOU, we are under the umbrella of the International Association of Firefighters, and they advised us that this one-page MOU, that if you don't mind if I read an excerpt out of it,
we've got about 2 minutes, so
okay.
Go ahead.
So it says the union agrees that it will support its members will be bound by all rules and regulations of the City of Cape Girardeau and Cape Girardeau Fire Department that are in effect at this time this agreement is ratified. However, the union recognizes that the City of Cape Girardeau reserves its right to modify these rules and regulations consistent with its managerial authority. So that bullet point right there, to me, says that they want us to sign this MOU, and we essentially absolve as a union. Because when we sign this, they have
power,
every ability to change whatever they want.
Okay. Now I see why you're mad.
Yeah. So a fair contract would be going back to the 28-page document that we originally had and signing it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it against the law for them to not negotiate with you?
Yes. So they have to negotiate
I'm not sure if it
within
is.
good
I'm just
faith.
asking.
By Missouri law, they have to negotiate within good faith. Now that definition of in good faith is kind of, wishy-washy.
Yeah.
But again, working with the International Association of Firefighters, they believe and will stand firm on the fact that their presentation of this one-page MOU is not bargaining in good faith because of the statement that I just read you.
I wish I had all day, but I'm out of time. So if they want to know more, can they see the letter online and learn more?
Yeah, and you can get on our Facebook page. We'll be posting some more stuff coming up here today. Today is the deadline for them to respond. They had a 7-day window, so we'll see what today brings. But keep an eye out on our Facebook page in the media because we're out and about. We're making a push on this.
Well, and I can't check 9,000 Facebook pages every day, so please shoot me an email.
Yes, we'll do.
Right.
Absolutely.
Ethan Essner, Vice President, Cape Girardeau Firefighters Association, 1084. I have not spoken to the city, but I've spoken to Ethan, and it sounds to me like there needs to be a meeting. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.